Welcome to episode 4 Conversation Chat Season 3. My name is Jamie Malloy, and I am here to talk some New York Yankees and Mets baseball with my co-host Joe Dalio and you all. So, without any further delay, here's Joe. Hey, Joe. How you doing? Good to see you again. We just saw each other backstage.
I feel like it was just minutes ago, right?
Because it was.
Yeah, that's right. But I tell you what a difference a week makes, right? We were here exactly a week ago talking about the good starts that our teams have gotten off to. What the heck happened, right? This week, I mean, what do we got? One win between us. A little bit of a rough week for the New York baseball teams, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I'm going to start us out with the Yankees injury report. Here we go.
Okay.
We're going to start with shortstop Anthony Volpe. He had a torn labrum in his left shoulder.
Ooh.
Volpe flew with the team this past weekend to Tampa and took live at-bats at the Yankees complex while there. Next, he will meet with the team doctors to determine if he's ready to move forward in his rehab. Once he gets the okay to move ahead, he could join Double-A Somerset sometime this week. The management has a schedule for his return. They want to see at least 55 at-bats while increasing the defense moderately from 3 innings to 5, then 7 to 9. His expected return, it's possibly May. Number 2, we have right-handed pitcher Garrett Cole, who is recuperating still from Tommy John surgery. Cole threw a live batting practice section on yesterday of 42 pitches, totaling 3 innings. The ace pitcher says he's on track to throw again in 5 days and has no complaints regarding stamina and feel for his pitches. Good. So now we're going to turn it over to Joe for some more New York Mets news. Joe?
All right. Thanks, Jamie. Some interesting stuff going on here. Let me go to my chronological order here. Now, very interesting that one of the players going down here is the last one to get him a win, right? Ronnie Mauricio, who hits a walk-off hit the last time the Mets won a game. His reward for that, being sent back down to the minor leagues. Now, I kind of joke about that, but it's not really a demotion per se. They brought up some players here, and I'll tell you who those players are in a second. But again, Ronnie Mauricio was not getting a lot of playing time while up with the Mets. Again, he did get that big hit, but they sent him down more so just to get him some playing time and experience, and hopefully he can get back up after a short time. But I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the Mets had brought in Tommy Pham, and they had signed him to a minor league contract. So they're trying to get some veteran spark, I guess, in the lineup here. And the Mets did promote Tommy Pham up to the team. So again, hopefully he could provide that spark there. Some bullpen moves that the Mets have made. Some relievers that were struggling, Luis Garcia and Richard Lovelady. In fact, I had said something last week, I believe, about Lovelady and how, he was struggling with the team and it would just be a matter of time. I thought before he was released or sent down. And both Garcia and Lovelady were designated for assignment. Garcia had like a 20 ERA this past week. He struggled in one of those games. I think it was against Arizona. But again, both were designated for assignment. In place of them, they did bring up some guy named Craig Kimbrell. That was one of the better relievers for a while, and they're giving him a shot and actually pitched a couple innings and did quite well. Also brought in a guy named Joey Gerber. Honestly, I hadn't heard of him, but again, so far so good. He pitching a couple of innings of shutout ball here too. So far. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is going to lead me to our injury report, as well as Gerber did. He was actually put on the 10-day IL. He got a blister on his finger. And so I guess they had to put him on the IL for that. So I guess it's baby food now for the next 10 days for Gerber, right? But Juan Soto still on the IL. He's expected to come back late April. Now, we'll talk about this later when I talk about some of the offensive stats of the Mets. You got to wonder this slump that the Mets are in, and especially it's much more of an offensive slump. How much does that have to do with Juan Soto's absence? It's a question that I'm very curious about. Now, Clay Holmes had left a start on April 10th. He's been pitching great for the Mets, by the way. And he exited a start on April 10th because of left hamstring tightness. Now, he never was put on the IL. And I read somewhere that he's actually tentatively scheduled to start tomorrow's game against the Dodgers. So hopefully he's all good to go for that, and we'll be able to get back into the rotation. Again, the Mets have been getting good starting pitching in some cases anyway, and definitely Holmes is one of those. Another pitcher that is not too far away is AJ Minter. Again, had left lat surgery. He did a rehab assignment earlier in the week with St. Lucie, which is A-ball, and he's still not expected back with the Mets until, as you said, it's going to be early May. So that's it as far as the news, the player news and injury news there. And I'm going to send it back over to you, Jamie, for some more Yankees news.
Okay, thanks so much, Joe. So why is Aaron Boone now furious with ABS now that it isn't going the Yankees' way? Remember before we were talking about how they had almost every single one overturned, but then, as Chris Berman used to say, different sport, but same concept, sometimes the worm turns, and it did. So,
right, as it just, again, in the what a difference a week makes category there.
Exactly. So in just what, in just 1 week, the Yanks went from being one of the best teams in baseball with the ABS system to now one of the worst. It doesn't excuse that Austin Wells has done well catching and that Jose Caballero has stunk at challenging while hitting. It prompted manager shortstop to the side for a private discussion about how these challenges are limited. And we talk about it, Joe, similar to the other big four professional sports leagues. Mm-hmm. You have challenges, but you got to be careful because they're limited.
Yeah, see, baseball is different, though, because you're leaving it up to individual players. That's unlike the other sports where it's a coach's decision, basically, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what makes this challenge system unique, is that the player itself, the player himself is the one that's doing the challenging.
Mm-hmm. And after having an unlimited attitude to reviews, expect the Yanks to have a more of a laissez-faire approach to challenging the calls. Mm-hmm. I think I know who he could talk to for a laissez-faire approach, none other than the Pirates, although the Pirates are doing well right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know about laissez-faire, that organization has been running laissez-faire for freaking years now. Social studies or economic term there. Also, it didn't help that Yankees GM Brian Cashman didn't do a good job to improve the bottom of the lineup. The 7, 8, 9 lineup spots has been one of the worst in the MLB. So I guess 6 isn't going to be afraid of 7 here, Joe, right? Because 7, 8, 9 isn't working with the Yankees. Anyway, at least Trent Grisham has been drawing walks without striking out, and Giancarlo Stanton and Ben Rice are off to hot starts in 2026. But the weak bottom of the lineup has led to too many strike calls being challenged so far. So, Joe, why not should Aaron Boone make adjustments to his lineup so that all the best hitters are not at the top and the worst are at the bottom?
Yeah, that's a tough question because, a lot of major league lineups are very top heavy like that. And the Yankees lineup has always been or at least for the last few years, has prided itself on being excellent from top to bottom. So I don't know exactly where the production dips, like 6, 7. I don't know, but I think it's just a matter of, I don't know. Perhaps you could put somebody down to the 9 spot. As a lot of times they put like a second leadoff hitter almost, or a leadoff type hitter down to the 9. That maybe you can balance it out that way, and then still be at the top of the lineup with some speed and guys getting on base, that kind of thing. But other than that, I really don't know. What adjustments you can actually make, because again, you want to get the top guys as many at bats as possible in a game. So, do you want to make that sacrifice, bringing somebody down a couple of spots in the lineup and maybe having them miss a potential at bat during a game when you need their bat at a critical time? So it's an interesting question, a very good question, but I don't have an answer, because really it's kind of tough to make those adjustments without sacrificing things at the top of the lineup too, or in the middle of the lineup.
Mm-hmm. And why is this a logical choice by Boone to pull back on the number of times the hitter should challenge a pitch?
Well, again, I don't think he's going to be the only manager having discussions with some players about the system, because as you said, you only get a certain amount. And if you're going to abuse it, or if you're going to make it difficult for the rest of the team, then I watched this during a Mets broadcast. They were talking about this. It's like, if some guys, don't do well with the challenges and are making it difficult for everybody else, you wonder if a manager is going to tell them, look, you can't challenge. It's not up to you, and you're just going to have to go with it. So I think you're going to see managers educating these players more on the right times to challenge. Again, if you're a leadoff hitter in the second inning and nobody on base, and you get a bad call, I think you just got to eat that, and you want to save those calls for when it's the 7th inning and with 2 guys on base with 2 outs, and a situation where maybe you get a call against you. And last week I talked about this, and one of the games the Mets played against the Diamondbacks actually won a game because they called an overturn correctly. It was going to end the inning. The umpire called a pitcher, or called a batter out on strikes. It was the 3rd out, and that would have been it for the Diamondbacks, and they wouldn't have scored runs. Instead, the call was overturned. The Diamondbacks scored a couple of runs in that inning and ended up winning the game. So, I think managers are going to be educating their players more. Again, you may get some, like Caballero, I think that you mentioned there, that you may get a manager saying, hey, you can't challenge. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on this. I love what it's doing to the games. Number one, holding umpires accountable. I think these umpires are a lot more careful about the calls they're making, because if they make bad ones, everybody's going to know it. And, these calls get overturned, and you wonder, are they going to get scored with this? Are they going to keep track of how many times a home plate umpire has gotten a call overturned? I'm sure they are. So they're held more accountable, which I think is an excellent idea. And I just love the way, this is adding some strategy to the game. People complain that we've lost some strategy, for example, with pitchers no longer batting and having to make those decisions. But I actually think this is adding some strategy to the game and making it a little bit more fun to watch as well.
Mm-hmm. Agree. So anyway, poor air by Jazz. Chisholm Jr. leads to rough extra innings loss for Yanks against Tampa Bay. Is with no shock, the Yankees 6 through 9 hitters have not been clutch late in games. But on a night where that of the lineup drove in 4 runs and Max Fried went 8 innings, the Yanks still lost. Why is that so? Don't count Jose Caballero's 2 hits with runners in scoring position, and the Yanks were 0 of 10 in clutch hits.
Oh my goodness.
I know. But every time Caballero scored, Fried gave up the runs back. And if Fried didn't give up those runs, we might have been looking at a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
It's also sad when Rays starting pitcher Nick Martinez had all of his strengths being taken away by the Yankees hitters, and they still couldn't cash in with more runs scored than the Rays. While Austin Wells broke out of his funk Saturday night, Ryan McMahon has been anything but the man at the bottom of the lineup. His batting average is a half a Mendoza line, 100.
Oh.
And his single hit really didn't inspire the rest of the bottom of the lineup to do anything to help out. And even with Jazz's error, their potential out at first still would have brought home the winning run, as he had to tag the runner out, which would have ended in a double play. And plus, when he tried to throw it over to first base, nobody was at first base.
Oh.
So, yeah. So, Joe, why can't the Yankees seem to complement their effective starting pitching with hitting?
Yeah, I think if they knew the answer to that, then they wouldn't be in the situation they're currently in. So that's a very good question, but I don't even think they have an answer for that. It's tough. And again, it's early. That's what everybody keeps saying here, but with both the Yankees and the Mets. No need to panic yet, although I do have some questions that I'm going to bring up later about moves that should potentially be made. But again, you can't panic now. And again, these are questions that I don't even think the Yankees can answer at this point.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think Jazz Chisholm Jr. claimed that he didn't know the double play rules in the extra innings? That's what he said after the game.
Frustration, excuses. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you should know that. You're a Major League Baseball player. So that's inexcusable. Again, Jazz does a lot more good for the team than negative. So it was just a mistake, and just maybe it would be nice if he owned up to it.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's turn it back over to you, Joe, for some more Mets highlights. Joe?
All right. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of highlights here. So let's break it down. 0-6 this week. So the Mets are currently on a 6-game losing streak. And in order to end that streak, all they have to do is beat the Los Angeles Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Tall order. Hopefully, they could at least take one of those games and get out of this funk here. Now, during this time, they were outscored 34-9. So when you average that out, we're talking about 5.5 to 1.5 that they were outscored. They're currently on a 20 consecutive innings without a run streak, shut out twice in a row here. And then they were shut out other games in that as well. Now, the Mets last year, I remember this, they started so well at home. For once, they were dominant at Citi Field. More so, the last time I had remembered, again, them that dominant was back in 2015 when they won the division. And they got off to such a good start at home last year. This homestand against inferior opponents, they go 1-5. They are currently 3-6 at Citi Field. Again, playing the likes of the Pirates. Now, nothing to take away from the Pirates because they're playing very well right now. But the Pirates, the Diamondbacks, the A's, again, all teams that I think the Mets are far better than. And you shouldn't be 3-6 against teams like that. Now, hitting is the story here. You know me, I like to start with the positive or focus on the positive. So I'll start with that. Francisco Alvarez continues his great start. He had another home run this week. It's funny because he's got 4 home runs on the season, and they're all solo home runs. So 4 home runs, 4 RBIs on the season, but he's hitting the ball hard. And he's got an 889 OPS. So he's getting on base as well. And again, making solid contact here. So that is definitely encouraging to see Francisco Alvarez hitting like he was a couple of years ago before injuries last year. So hopefully that can continue. Now, Bo Bichette has had his struggles since coming to the Mets, but he had a good week this week. He had a home run, his first home run with the Mets. He did have 3 RBIs and an 804 OPS, which is not like out of this world, but a little bit above average. Now, it's funny because Bichette does lead the team in RBIs with 9 overall, even though, again, he's been struggling. He did, though, still have 6 strikeouts and 21 at-bats this week, so we got to keep an eye on that. That's almost 30% that he's striking out. So hopefully he can make contact like he has in the past and, get on base more and get that production even more. Now, the next best OPS after that 804 by Bichette is Luis Robert Jr. at 689. Okay, now he did have a home run, a solo home run, and an RBI this week, and did all right. But again, 689 is the next best OPS. I think that tells you something right there. Polanco hitting his first home run with the Mets. Beatty had a couple RBIs. However, both those guys had OPSs in the 400s, so not doing much. Where has Francisco Lindor been? We're in the middle of April here, and he still does not even have an RBI. So I don't know what's going on with that, and hopefully he can break out of that soon. Okay. Now, some pitching performances. Again, we got some good, some bad. 3 starting pitchers giving solid performances. Now, not getting wins for them. Freddie Peralta, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. And you look at some of his StatCast numbers and whiff percentages and things like that. They're very solid. He's been pitching great. He struggled his first start with the Mets, but he's been doing really well. He actually got the loss in this game that he pitched, so well. So unfortunately, he did not deserve that. And, hopefully he can get some support going forward. Rookie Nolan McLean, another solid 6-inning performance, only gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, but had 8 strikeouts in that. So again, very encouraging performances from him. Clay Holmes, before he got hurt, 5 1/3, gave up 5 hits, but only 1 earned run. He continues to produce quality starts for them. Now, again, some of these pickups that the Mets got, Craig Kimbrell they brought in, I said before. He pitched a couple innings, gave up 2 hits in those 2 innings, but no runs so far. Joey Gerber, same thing, 2 innings pitched, 2 hits, excuse me, but had 5 strikeouts in those 2 innings. Again, he's on the shelf now for a couple of weeks because of a blister on the hand. Now, the Mets have been using Sean Manaea in the bullpen, but I don't know how much longer that's going to be the case because he's pitching solid. He changed his angle a little bit, and it seems to be working. 7 innings pitched this past week, 5 hits given up, and just 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts in those 7 innings. Now, the Mets do have some areas of concern, and one has been going on all season. So David Peterson pitched a couple of starts this week. He pitched a total of 10 innings, gave up 9 hits, 8 earned runs in those 10 innings. So he continues to struggle as he has all season. Now, he does have 13 strikeouts in that time in 10 innings. So that's encouraging. But hopefully David Peterson can soon get back to last year's form. Now, Kodai Senga had a couple of great starts in the beginning, but he had a really bad start in one of those games. He had 2 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 7 earned runs given up. Now, last week I had explained that some of the Mets relievers were pitching amazingly. Pitchers like Brazoban and Brooks Raley that are still pitching excellent in middle relief. Now, Luke Weaver was in that category, but he was lit up this week. He pitched an inning and 2/3, 5 hits, 6 earned runs. So just the one bad outing there, which was pretty disastrous. So again, the other middle relievers, as I said, doing very well, and the Mets have, it seems like, more depth there, and hopefully that'll help because the last couple of years they've used the certain guys that got tired, and for a couple of years now they've had some of the best bullpens in the league halfway through the season, and then they just implode later in the year. So hopefully with the depth that they have there, they can prevent that from happening again. And perhaps that's why some of the pitchers are shelved now and not coming back until next year. So we'll see about that. Now, where are we now? All right. So 7-10 record, last place in the National League East. Now, Mets fans are not happy with what they're seeing from this team. But I think if you ask Met fans, I think they know that this last place is going to be a temporary situation. Again, I hear it from a lot of people. It's early. Do we have to panic just yet? No. I got a question, though, in a second. Now, the Mets going forward, it doesn't get much easier here. 2 more against the Dodgers tonight and tomorrow, and then a weekend series against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. And the Cubs are one of those teams that are not playing their best baseball yet, but again, playing a potential division, a team that's expected to win their division or compete for winning the division. Playing at home, it's only a matter of time before they wake up. So it really doesn't get easier this week for the Mets. And even after that, they play the Twins at home. But, you can't even look at that because, again, playing the Diamondbacks and the A's at home, you would think they would have won 4 out of 6. And instead they win 1 out of 6. So, again, it doesn't get easier. Hopefully these guys can figure it out and they can get some key hits like they haven't been getting. I'm surprised I'm not hearing this question a little bit more. A particular manager was on the hot seat at the end of last year. There was talk that, again, Carlos Mendoza may not return for the 2026 season. He did come back. The team is struggling with a lot of the same issues that they had a year ago, or at least in the second half of the season last year. I am starting to wonder, okay, how much longer does Carlos Mendoza stay? Now, Jamie, I'll ask your opinion. I know you're a big Mendoza fan and you have a lot of respect for him. Do you think potentially it's time for a management change for the Mets?
It's interesting to say because, like I said, why I have a lot of respect for Mendoza, obviously, because he was Aaron Boone's bench coach with the Mets job. But I mean, it's in any other year, I would say, yeah. But I mean, I think if you look at like early in the year, I don't think there's been like as much parity, even with the 10. All the divisions are like really close and it's early. I don't remember having this. Do you remember, Joe, watching baseball all of our lives, having a season he's been like this close early in the year? Because I don't think we've had.
Yeah, if there has been, I can't remember it. I love this. Again, I'm looking at every division, and it seems like everybody is within just a couple of games. Even some of the weaker teams like, the White Sox, the Rockies, people like that, Washington,
the Pirates, there you go.
Playing good baseball. Now the Pirates are a different story. They're playing like, they could lead their division, or they are leading their division, but they keep this up. They keep playing like this. They're going to start playing like a team that really believes that they can win that division if they're not already. But again, even some of the other teams, the Red Sox, who started so poorly, there's a bunch of teams here that I think haven't hit their stride yet. Everybody is within, like you said, Jamie, just a couple of games in each division, or within 3 games in each division. So I
think
understand.
about it. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Joe, especially in the era where, like I said, you still have the luxury tax, the Dodgers, running up their payroll compared to everybody else. And yet I wonder if this is the preview of, the inevitable salary floor comes after the lock. I wonder if this is a preview of it.
Yeah, it just might be. And it couldn't have come at a better time, right? Because when they're negotiating next year, it could have an impact when we next have baseball in 2028.
Yeah. And I you know what I also think too, nobody's talking about this. I wonder if just by adding the ABS, I wonder if the ABS is you think it's had to do with more parity because it's being applied like so equally to all these teams that it could be flipping for between the big and the little small market teams.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm not so sure it could have such an impact, because again, you can only challenge so many calls a game. I don't know how much of an impact it would have if turning, bad teams to good or good to bad, but it's something worth keeping an eye on for sure. But I'll tell you what, if we still have this kind of parity, let's say, halfway through the season, even a quarter of the way through the season, we are going to be in for a wild ride this year. It's going to, keep every team in the mix. And especially now, since, last couple of years, they got these extra wild card teams in there. It's just going to make it that much more competitive and these games much more meaningful. I think it's great for baseball. But that's
somebody could see. But like I said, somebody could actually seriously challenge the Dodgers this year with the way the parity's gone. And if it keeps up, who knows?
Yeah.
Somebody could beat them. We'll see.
I mean, anybody can beat anybody in a 5-game series, in the playoffs. So, and we saw that when these, when the playoffs were expanded. I mean, how many times did top seeds lose right away? Now, again, this is a different top seed that doesn't know how to lose. But still, anybody can beat anybody in a 5-game series, even a 7-game series. So there's no guarantees. The Dodgers can win 140 games, but there's no guarantees that they win another World Series. I think they will, but there's certainly no guarantee for them or for anybody in that situation.
Yeah, and imagine imagine what the ABS system is going to look like in the postseason with the first year under it. That's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, and by the time they get to the postseason, I mean, these teams are going to have 162 games of experience with it. So a lot of these kinks and a lot of these things that they're trying to work out are going to be worked out. A lot of things that we don't even know about now, a lot of different strategies that we haven't seen yet, I'm sure throughout the season are going to be developed and in full bloom come playoff time. So again, it's going to make things more interesting that way. But I love the parity that we have in Major League Baseball so far. But again, the Mets got to get going. And, again, it's going to be tough to do. But I still think this team has just too much talent to be, dead and buried early in the season. However, if we don't see some heart, if we don't see some fire with this team very soon, I think you're definitely going to see a manager change, and I think you're going to have to see a manager change because they don't want to. They believe that this is a World Series potential team, and if they see that slipping away, then I think you're going to see a change, and I think you should see a change. Again, I'm not saying, again, I'm not anti-Mendoza by any means, but I'm anti-losing, and what I'm even more anti is a lack of heart that I've seen now for almost 3/4 of a season between the last half of last year and the first quarter of this year. That's what I hate more than anything. A team can win 150 games, but if I don't see heart, it's not worth it to me. And a team can win 30 games, and if they're hustling and trying and there's a fire there, I'll watch that team over the other team anytime. So again, that's what I don't like about this team right now is just the lack of heart. And that's going to have to change quickly. And if it doesn't, then it's time to bring in somebody that can do it.
And I mean, think about it. And even if you, like I said, even if you fire Mendoza, like I said, the cupboard's not bare. He's the one that filled the cupboard, with bringing in Soto and then getting rid of Alonso and deciding, to get a bunch of new, younger, like build a younger, faster, like get more prospects into the system to try to build around Soto. So I mean, I think he's left the cupboard full, whether if he gets fired or not. So at least that's a positive thing.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think he'll probably get maybe he'll get a broadcasting job, or he'll get in a bench coach or a assistant job somewhere else again.
I think he would.
Mm-hmm. He's got a good reputation in the MLB. Like a lot of him and Aaron Boone. They're like the diehard fans that know those guys both of those guys are very well respected in the league by other managers. So anyway,
I agree.
Yep. So anyway, here we go. Joe, back over to me. And speaking of that ABS, we're going to dig into why I think it has to do with certain Yankee players and baseball players changing their swings more, because they've done it and even though they've been doing it every year. So you're obviously done, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. So anyway, Joe, here we go. Every year it's par for the course for MLB batters to change their stances to keep the umpires guessing where the batters anticipate the strike zone, right? They've always had to do that, because these umpire strike zones have been very wacky,
Yeah.
But never fear, now with the ABS challenge system, it made for batters to open up their stance, for better contact or having a better opportunity, to challenge a strike. So that's what I think there. In 2023, Aaron Judge's play stance was in one where he planted his back foot squarely on the back border of the box by inches behind the front of the plate. Okay. So then he moved it a bit forward, standing at the 29 at 29.7. 2025, he moved forward once more at 26.2 inches. So now as a 2026, he's at 25.4 inches, but with his back foot clear of the border. So he doesn't even have his foot planted on the board anymore.
Wow.
On the plate. So while they probably wouldn't notice the difference of the change, but it's a lot when you break it down from 2025 versus 2026. Stanton made his own similar changes after an awful 2023 campaign where he only recorded below 700 OPS. In 2024, though, he closed his stance to 12 degrees from 18 in 2023 and widening his stance by by over 3 inches. A wider stance. As from 2024 to 2025, he expanded by 5 inches, and he was rewarded with a career year. This year, he's taken it further, as his feet are now planted 24.6 inches apart, almost 8 inches farther than. While it has been pretty, well, it hasn't been pretty so far, with a 158 batting average, dragging his overall line down to a 9 WRC plus through Friday's actions. His 387 xWOBA suggests that he's been scalding the ball when he does make contact, and his 207 BABIP is very low. So it's too early to tell if these changes will work, but the definition of insanity is what, Joe? doing the
It's
same
doing
thing, doing the same thing annually and expecting different results.
That's right.
Mhm. So, Joe, what do you think of these Yankee hitters adapting their stances to possibly fit the ABS challenges system? Because, like I said, they've been doing it the last 3 years. Prior to that, pre the system due to the umpire strike zones. But what do you think that it might be a more common theme every year for them to change the stance because they know they might have a better chance of having the pitch hit or having a better chance to challenge the call?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, and I, something I didn't think of is perhaps a batter changing their stance to, get more in line with ABS. Now, again, you mentioned something too, just about keeping these umpires accountable, as we talked about earlier in the show. That's my favorite part about this whole thing is the fact that, now these guys have more pressure on them, the umpires, to make the right calls, and they're going to be called out more if they don't. But it's interesting how, again, batters do anything, pitchers do anything to find an edge in Major League Baseball. And now this is just another strategy, another way that these guys can do that.
It seems like they're turning into hockey players with all the superstitions and everything.
Right? Not all of them are superstitious. Some of them are just a little stitious. But, we're going to see, you wonder now if somebody changes a stance. You just made me think of something here. They change a stance to kind of go in line with ABS. But what if it's the one thing that they find that all of a sudden increases their batting average by 50 points or doubles their home run total? Maybe it's the one thing they find, the one adjustment that they make that all of a sudden changes anything. Now, it could go the other way too. What if they try to do this to get in line with ABS and all of a sudden make a tweak and, the batting average dips by 30 points or whatever? So you got to be careful with that too, because especially if you're hitting well, you don't want to, mess with that. And again, like you said, baseball players, any sports people are superstitious, and I'm sure if somebody's hitting well, they're not going to change much. But very interesting that, again, so many things. I've said this several times today and throughout this season so far. Very curious to see what impact this has. So stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, and Joe, why do you think it may have to do with it changing their stances? Like,
I guess because any adjustment that you make at the plate could have an impact. It's kind of like a golf swing, right? If something changes in somebody's golf swing, that could affect a flight path and things like that. So it's the same thing here. Any adjustment that you make at the plate could have a positive or a negative impact.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, guess what? Talk about is Spencer Jones turning the corner? How about what a difference a week make there? Remember last week I talked about how it was all doom and gloom and he might get traded at the deadline. Now they're saying he may actually get called up and make it on the Yankees roster. So here we go. The
Excellent.
Yankees version of the song Mr. Jones is Spencer Jones, who now has wanted to be a big star. The Yanks' number 6 prospect is starting to cook in AAA Scranton in 2026. In game 2 of a Saturday doubleheader, the 6'7" or the 6'7" outfielder was 3 for 4, with a home run, a stolen base, and a season best 5 RBIs as the Rail Riders beat Durham 9-5. Beat them 9-5 at PNC Field. The number 25 pick in the 2022 draft. Jones was viewed as a two-way player. Yeah, he could have been he was a Shohei Ohtani when he got drafted, but then in college he was. But then what happened was he suffered a fractured elbow and a torn UCL, and in high school it changed his plan, so he just ended up being a batter. So at Vanderbilt, he turned into a full-time position player. Jones's tall frame advantage as well at the batter's box. That sounds like somebody we know right now on the Yankees, that when he came out was 6'7" and had the advantage, right, Joe? I just can't put my finger on
I won't make any judgments on that.
it. People say Spencer Jones he's like Aaron Judge, but they said he's actually faster. Like his wheels are faster than Judge.
Really?
So
now, was he a shortstop in college, or was he an outfielder?
Outfielder.
Okay.
With a 65 grade power, that's Judge right there at 6'7". The 24-year-old has shown flashes of greatness over his pro career, making several appearances on the top 100 prospects list and finishing second in the minor leagues in home runs last year with 35 over 160 games and at MLB's top 2 levels. Jones started his 2025 campaign at AA Somerset before earning a promotion to the Rail Riders in late June. He played in 67 games, batting .274 with 19 home runs, but similar to Judge when he first came into the league, he struck out 35.4% of the time as well. Mm-hmm. You could tell he's definitely got Aaron Judge syndrome right now, where he's hitting a bunch of home runs, but he's striking out and he's trying to get that corrected. Because look at Aaron Judge had the same problem. He fixed that. So
yes.
This year's spring training was a success for Jones, batting a .357 average and 1576 13 spring training games. He hit 6 current MLB pitchers, Jacob Webb of the Cubs and Jonathan Bolin of the Phillies. So, Joe, what do you make of Spencer Jones quietly starting to put it together consistent, as they think he needs to? That's the one issue he's need to be, is more consistent.
Yeah, it's good to see, actually, because, again, it didn't look so optimistic a week or two ago when we were talking about him, when you were, sharing some of that info. So, excuse me, it's good to see, and hopefully he can just keep progressing and again, like you said, developing that consistency, and that's certainly going to get him up faster.
Mm-hmm. Because imagine if you have Aaron Judge now, and then you have Judge 2.0 and this kid. Imagine having two guys like that in your lineup on an MLB team.
God, that's scary.
Mm-hmm. That was like the Angels having Vlad Guerrero, Torrey Hunter, and also Benji Molina. So there you go. And how possible is it just that at some point later in the season that Jones can make his MLB debut, but with the Yankees, and that they don't have to worry about trading him at the deadline, and he makes his MLB debut in another club's uniform?
Mm-hmm.
No, I asked you, how possible is it, do you think?
I'm sorry. It's tough to tell at this point. I think the Yankees are intent on bringing him up with them, but you never know in Major League Baseball. And again, I think if he continues to develop like he is, I could definitely see him coming up in a Yankee uniform. But of course, you never know. Like I said, if the right deal comes along, then that could change. Mm-hmm. But is there like some kind of forecast for when they expect him to be there, or they just kind of play it by ear?
Well, last year they said 2026 or
okay.
2027, so he's still right there.
So perhaps later in the season. Okay.
Last year he was actually one. He could have gotten called up and made his debut last year because, like I said, he did well in AA, that he made it up to AAA.
Right.
Oh.
Okay. So again, we'll keep an eye on that. Is he on do you know if he's on like the pipeline list? Is he on like top prospects or anything like that?
Yeah, I think he's top 10, I think, still.
Okay. Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, speaking of that, Joe, let's take a look at Down on the Farm. Yeehaw. Okay. Anyway, We're going to start out with Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Although he's not a prospect anymore, he's starting on here. We're going to talk about Jason Dominguez. The Martian went 1 of 2 with 2 walks and a stolen base, but he's still doing strong with a smile on his face. Next, we have Oswaldo Cabrera. He was 0 for 4 with a strikeout and grounded into a double play. However, he is still making his rehab until he eventually rejoins the Yankees at some point. And I think they're going to need him. I think they miss him right now, especially at the bottom of the lineup, but they're not rush him because that was a nasty injury he had last year.
Right.
So anyway, we're going to have the Double-A Somerset Patriots. And folks, let's talk about their number 1 prospect, George Lombard Jr., the shortstop. He went 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. You're going to find when you hear this in the minor leagues. He's batting .464.
Wow.
At 1388 OPS. And if you ask me, he should just skip AAA and go right to the Yankees. Pull a Byron Buxton, right? He could.
Right.
But maybe they may do the right thing and, give him one more level of seasoning and send him to AAA, but we'll see. But he's already playing like AA. So, low A Tampa Tarpons are this is a new guy that no one's really heard of. We're going to talk about a King Maxwell, the undrafted free agent, huh?
Oh no, I'm listening.
The undrafted free agent from Arkansas went 2 for 4 with 2 home runs with a walk and 5 RBIs. And there's always a diamond in the rough prospect in the minors who impresses and will look to make a big club. So Joe, if Logan Maxwell doesn't make it up the Yankee system, why wouldn't he make it on another big league roster? Like, why, with the way he's playing here? I mean, I it's probably no question that he's going to eventually make the big leagues on another team if he doesn't make his way up the Yankee system with the right deal.
Yeah, I think people are paying attention. If somebody's doing as well as he is, you got scouts all over, and you got people paying attention. And it's if people aren't noticing, he continues to produce like he is, then that's going to change. So, and I'm sure any player like that, obviously, if you got a chance to make the Yankees, you're going to want to do that. But bottom line is you want to get a chance to play in the major leagues. And if he can get a quicker opportunity somewhere else, I'm sure he would take it.
I'll give you an example, Joe. Look at with Colorado. Remember TJ Rumfield I was telling you about? Remember he was in the Yankee system, but because they had Ben Rice on first base, he wasn't going to be able to make the club, so they traded him to Colorado. And at the beginning of this year, he made his debut, and he's doing really well with Colorado. He actually hit 20 home runs in spring training for them.
Wow.
And you also don't forget Emerson Pereira too, who we traded to Tampa. Finally made the big league roster there, but was called up to the Yankees in 2023 after when Judge was hurt, and then he played in Tampa's lineup, and we got Jose Caballero left, and now this year I think he's starting out for I think it's the White Sox he's actually with now.
Okay, awesome.
But he got hurt and was on the 10-day IL, and he'll probably come back. But still, I mean, we traded those guys. Now they're finally getting full-time reps on other teams. And so, yeah, that's working out well for them. And so, yeah. So, anyway, Joe, what do you think of Dominguez's start in AAA? But more importantly, George Lombard Jr. batting .464 and over a 1380 OPS, and he's already in AA.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, I know he's not scheduled to join the Yankees till about 2027, right? I think they're not expecting him this year. But
yeah, but I bet you they didn't expect him to exceed expectations like this already, too, though.
I was going to say, people are paying attention if a guy's hitting 462 anywhere, whether it's AAA or would you say he's in AA or AAA?
Yeah, double A, because last year he started out in high A and then he got promoted to double A right at this time last year.
Right. But I think any level, if you're hitting 462, you're going to get noticed and that's going to speed up your progress. So that'll be
Guess what, Joe?
interesting.
He
to keep
doesn't
an eye
turn 21 until June 2nd, so he's still 20 years old.
He's still just 20. Yeah. So that's awesome.
And I think, right.
No, that's awesome. Just something to
awesome.
keep an eye on. I love, watching these pipeline players and watching their development.
That's why we do this every year.
Yeah, exactly. So just to, he's somebody that I'll be curious about and keep an eye on too. And to especially see if he can sustain that. He's definitely expected to get to AAA this year, right? Especially with stats like that.
Yeah, I thought he'd pull a Byron Buxton and go right to the big club, but we'll see. He may go to AAA. But remember, Byron Buxton made it right out of AA. He skipped the Red Wings and went right to the Twins, and look how that's turned out for him. But I don't know if he's exactly Byron Buxton, though. That's the thing.
Right. Okay. But still, it'd be interesting to see if he can continue that and how fast he can move up to the next level or the ultimate level.
No, Joe, I think he will because I don't see Volpe actually lasting long with the Yankees. And like I said, even with Caballero, he's 28 or 29. So I think they're gonna want after Volpe's gone, maybe they want him to eventually be up with the Yankees, to spell Caballero, because just like Caballero, he could play shortstop, second, and third, whereas Volpe can just play shortstop. That's the difference.
Right.
They like him because he's versatile on the field, like Caballero is too. He's very versatile on the field like that.
Excellent.
So anyway, it is now that time in our show for a question of the week segment. So Joe, would you like to give it a try?
Yes.
Okay, Joe, here is I think this is only our second question on season 3 of the Subway Conversation. So here we go. It's now that time can you guess this MLB pitcher? Okay, he was a 1-time World Series champ and a 3-time Cy Young winner. Is it Pedro Martinez, Max Scherzer, the big unit Randy Johnson, or Justin Verlander?
You said 3-time Cy Young?
Yeah, 1-time World Series champ.
Okay. 1-time World Series champ. You mentioned one that I'm thinking. Can you name all 4 again?
Yes. A, Pedro Martinez. B, Max Scherzer. C, the big unit, Randy Johnson. Or D, Justin Verlander.
Shoot. I am going to say I had one in my mind, but I'm actually going to change it. I'm going to go with Randy Johnson.
Nope, it was Pedro Martinez.
That was my first instinct. And I always go with my first instinct. And I went away from it this time and I got burned. But
Randy Johnson did win a World Series, obviously, against the Yankees with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez won one. It was 2004 when they beat the Cardinals. That's when the Yankees blew the 3-0 lead. Max Scherzer, I think, has won one. I'm not sure. Verlander, I don't think has won one.
I don't think he did, and that's why I didn't guess him. I had
Max Scherzer did, I think, right? In Texas, I think, wasn't it?
Was he with Texas at that time?
I think so. I'm trying to think, but I think he did win one.
All right. I was looking for a question for you. My friend Tom had sent one. He sent some good ones in the past. I can't find it now, and I know we're pretty much to the end. So I'm going to find it for you, and I'll get it for you next week or next time we do trivia here. I was looking to see maybe if I could find it, but I'll have to ask it next time.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media AI tech savvy world on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026? the second show and the second Tuesday of April, and Jackie Robinson Eve.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, halfway through April already. And again, what have we played? About 17 MLB games already, give or take. So you can find me, Joe Dal Sports, on Twitter X, sharing stats and info and insights there.
Mm-hmm. And you guys can follow me, yours truly, on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dogtags on X, thefansided.com, Buffalo Down, and theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and ring the bell for all notifications. For more content on Driving to the Top Productions, please visit us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X, or wherever you get your podcasts. For all of us here, for Joe Dalio, this is Jamie. I'm Jamie Malloy, and this has been another episode of the Subway Conversation Chat on Driving to the Top Productions. We will see you next week, everybody, for another episode. Good night.
Have an excellent week.